heard George do it, they can't quit yours. We're just not special.
Yeah, I heard you were cruising on your tiptoes in the picture too.
Down, tiptoes, don't worry about you.
Whatever you say, man.
Alright, you guys ready to go?
Do it.
Let's get this party started. Napoleon Hill. First, I know that ability to achieve the object my death and purpose is life. Therefore, I declare myself responsible to action for insanity, and I hereby consecrate such action. Second, I realize that dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in our physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of being the person I intend to become, thereby creating my mind a clear mental picture of that person. Third, I know through the principle of suggestion, any desire and system of my mind will eventually express itself back to me actively. Therefore, I will go to every stage, expanding myself and self-confidence. Fourth, I have clearly written down shooting my death machine game of life, and I will never stop trying until I shall develop a system of important statement. Fifth, I fully realize that no healthy position is on the door unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which shall benefit all of effects. I will see by attracting myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will start to serve me because my willing to serve others. I will lay hatred, envy, jealousy, selfish citizens by developing love for all humanity. I know that they can attitude towards others and never bring me success. I will cause others to me because I will live in them and in myself. I will sign my name to work on committed memories and repeat aloud once a day with full faith to gradually influence my thoughts and actions. So I will become self-reliant person. Overall. Well set. Well set form of minimum standards which, with all of the exact positive environment, guarantees 24 plus transactions annually and unprecedented first growth achievement. 1. I dedicate 1 hour daily towards building and correcting my self-confidence. 2. I practice and internalize my self-skills for a minimum 1 hour each day. 3. I contact my sphere of influence by mail, by phone, and in person, and by email quarterly. 4. I make 150 plus contacts a week, 30 plus per day, by phone or in person. 5. I follow all I do. 6. I set 5 plus new appointments a week with buyers and sellers. 7. I complete pre-qualify 100% of my appointments. 8. I have an appointment in 10 liquid space of 50% or greater. 9. I follow my sellers weekly and 10. I sell 75% of more of my list inventory. 11. I return every signed call contact every buyer needs in 2 hours to make order. 12. I will work with my qualified buyers who have been qualified by a mortgage lender and assigned to buy a broker agreement. For a mortgage patient, less time, less energy spent. I recognize status on persistent action so it will take a while to. Therefore, I can take the following every step from the success. Alright, Tony Robbins, let's go. Now I am the voice. I will lead, not follow. I will lead, not follow. I will believe, not doubt. I will believe, not doubt. I will create, not destroy. I will create, not destroy. I am a force for good. I am a force for good. I am a leader. I am a leader. The 5 yards. The 5 yards. 7-inch standard. 7-inch standard. Step up. Step up. Step up. Step up. Step up. Step up. Open affirmations. I'm a professional salesperson who gets home sold. I usually fix out my clients' strict goals. I price my listings right. I focus on small wins every day. Real estate transactions are abundant in any market. My abilities make me succeed. I get strong with different steps. I'm the master of every situation. My confidence is unshakable because of integrity. I always have back the top. I take aim to bear my body. I strive to give with abundance of energy. I'm fast flowing. I stay clear for every day. I know where I want my get. I attract and enjoy greater financial abundance each day. My gratitude gives me a limited financial success. I see prosperous thoughts. I am prosperous. I handle my money wisely and I profit every day. Taking action is easy for me. I enjoy starting each day. I enjoy being debt free. I exercise daily. I enjoy letting my clients succeed. I help lose. I'm a real estate expert. I ask what I expect to be the real estate expert. I'm professional. I'm financially independent. I recognize needs helping others. I have solutions. Prospecting good for my business. I call inspired to sell my own. Prospecting is easy for me. I enjoy calling that's why. I enjoy the fact my enthusiasm. I get to know how to succeed. I get never stronger than every call in. I'm an outstanding salesperson. I'm a powerful living. I know how to achieve. I keep positive, exciting, fun, productive, fun, and all fun. Yes! Woo!
was up.
There you go.
Because I had all the jet lag going on.
See, it was well sent.
Oh, I'm sitting right here. You're good. Trying to get something out of my pocket. Not very effectively.
It's easy when you're sitting in the back. And when you're in the front, I was like, I can try to let me cover this over here.
You want one? Yes, you do. Okay. Usually I have to spill. Are you okay? Did you? Well, never. It's not just about me. Well, yeah, it must be
everybody.
Morning.
Hammond, are you ready to get up here? Dazzle us
Yeah.
with that salmon tie?
Yeah.
Anything on the title and escrow world we should know about? Just close more deals?
They still have?
We're experiencing something at a monumental rate of fraud, like email fraud and scams where people know about homes being sold. They'll hack into agents' accounts. Literally, they hack into your accounts. They see that you're talking to a title company, and then they'll create an account with your name on it, and then send us an email and say, please send the seller's proceeds to this account number. And it has your name on it, has your picture, has your logo, has all of it. And
That's crazy.
it's awful.
We just had one not too long ago where we were asked. I was asked to wire. It was an email to our accounting department to wire $80,000 to who knows? I don't know where. I can't remember. It's crazy. Okay.
So just really just make sure that
The conflict here is that an agent would have to check their email to know that that's going on.
Oh,
So-
yeah, so that's what
So
we never
the
had that
problem
problem.
is that you don't know what might happen there. So good, right, Brian?
That's right.
All right. Welcome again, Rick. Good to see you.
Thank you, George.
Thrilled to have you here. You were here yesterday, I think, weren't you? Yeah. Yep. Good. All right. Doug, how's baseball?
Done.
Yeah.
Champions.
I know.
Champions.
Did you know that Collin High School won the state championship in baseball, Rob? Did you know that? All right. Did you have the band come through the halls?
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
All
There
right.
were easily 1,000 people when we left. Yeah, it's all the way lined
Good.
down the parking lot, the band, cheerleaders.
Good. All right. So, hey, what did John talk about yesterday? Just not in his base camp, but in his morning meeting. This-
Belief versus faith versus.
Believe in faith? Okay. Okay. All right. I just, I've been gone just a little bit, so thank you for showing up, Brian. I'm glad you're here. One of these days we're going to get back on a racquetball court. Should we do that tomorrow?
I'm ready.
All right. All right.
I hope thing too.
But I just want to point out that in the time away, one of those things that it does is it makes you reflect on really foundationally what the organization is about. And so I just want to point out, just as a reminder, and it's nothing, for most of you, it will be absolutely nothing new, but it will be just the fact that I just want to remind you of the foundation. I want to talk about your job, and then if we have time, I wanted to just do a quick little role play on the listing presentation. And isn't that a little bit of what John talked about also at base camp? Was the listing, or the importance of listings of some sort?
The importance
Yes.
of listing. He didn't get into it.
He didn't get into the skill setup. Plus, because he's scared to give his listing presentation, Jason.
That makes sense.
Rick's thinking like, holy cow! Hold on a second. He's really hip now.
Yeah.
So we love John, don't we, Doug?
Yep.
All right, just kidding. All right, here we go. Actually, John gives one of the best presentations around, next to Rob's, right? In fact, actually, I early on I remember Rob would be like the go-to to close the sales and close the deal. So, I just want to point out this foundation that all training and everything that we do is based off of, and I just want you to recognize that like this foundation for me. Just I know many of you have heard this, but it really goes back to 4 years ago when I sat in a room and just sat down and just asked what do top producers do. And in the time, in fact, I was, April working with your mother, Leslie, and in the same office, and Joan Pate, and all these great agents that are, icons, at least in the state of Utah from the standpoint of business. And I just asked the question, what do they do? And I started reflecting on some of their key components. And I just want to rip through them very quickly, but the reason why I bring them up is because if you're off on your business, just go back to the foundation. It's your blueprint to look at and say, okay, wait a second here. Is business happening the way that it should be? And so just the first one is this, and that is that you have to have a distinct amount of purpose or a why or a desire, any of those things. I mean, whatever resonates for you, vibrates well for you, that word, but you have to know what's moving you. It's the juice between your activities of what you do every day. The second is the goals, right? It's the ability to set a goal and achieve it. But the goals are really the stepping stones to living out your purpose. And then often we'll put up here is you have to have a plan and you have to have a schedule that you're following. So if I'm just trying to extract, say, okay, wait, am I on track or not on track? I would first say, gosh, am I connected to what drives my life? And then second, am I focused on my goals? Do I have a clear and concise plan? And do I know my schedule backwards and forwards, and am I following it? And really, in the end of every coaching, really what we're asking, anytime if you're self-coaching, self-evaluating, or if you're sitting with a coach, what they in the end they're doing is they're asking, well, what are you doing with your time? In the end, you figure out real quickly what someone's doing effectively based on what they're doing with their time. And then the third is making sure that, right, your mindset is right. Sounds like John did a great job of that and talking about that. And in fact, I got multiple people telling me what a great presentation he gave at base camp yesterday, so must have been good. Did that get recorded, by the way?
Yes.
Did it? Cool. Okay. All right, and then the fourth is making sure that we're focusing on our skill set. So if I'm self-evaluating and looking at this, I'm going to be sitting here going, well, wait a second here. Man, I know what I want. I know my goals, my plan. I'm following my schedule, my belief, my confidence, my mindset's there. But, man, I'm still not getting things to happen the way that I want to. And so maybe there's a skill set that just needs to be learned. And remember, I've said this for nearly a decade, and that is there is nothing you cannot learn and there's nothing you can't do in this business. So it's not an exclusive club. You just have to learn it. And if you learn it, you're going to win the game. And then the fifth and sixth, of course, is the discipline that's necessary, right? The self-discipline and the accountability. And then the sixth is, of course, making sure that we have either the strategies or I often put up here just the systems, right? Especially as we're trying to do more business. But initially what's interesting is most people invert this and they start working on the system or like their lead follow-up systems. And the reality is when you're first working on this and going through this, you don't need to focus on your system. What you need to be focusing on is your disciplines, your skill set, mindset. You certainly could say that's the system, but don't confuse the two. The system will always come about when the volume is there. Volume forces the right system. Has to create it. Otherwise you go backwards because you can't sustain it because the system isn't working. So you improve the system or the strategy and you're forced to do so. That's the beauty of volume of business.
Systems, strategy, plan, schedule. What's the difference? How do I...
Well, the system and strategies to me would be like your lead follow-up system. It would be like Mojo, RedX, LandVoice. Maybe it's your CRM. Maybe it's your leadership. Yeah, right. But I mean, I'm sure there's probably some crossover. No question.
Okay,
Yeah, but great question. But just that. Look, over 20 years ago, I wrote that down, and I wrote it down just from the standpoint of like, look, am I going to build the right foundation in my career and in my life? And if you do, well, it's the same thing. And then whenever I go and speak in other environments, whether it be, to a group of financial planners or you name it, the same stuff applies, right? I mean, you don't have people who say, man, I'm living life with a deep sense of purpose. I know my goals. I've got my plan. I'm following my schedule. My mindset is just like rock solid. My skill sets, I'm doing great. My disciplines, man, I'm waking up on time. I'm prospecting on time. I'm exercising on time. I'm practicing. My strategy systems, yes, they're a work in progress, but they're pretty darn good. And I'm not making any money. It doesn't happen. Or I don't have anybody come to me and say I'm doing all these things and I'm unhappy. Or I'm doing all these things and I think I'm going to go try to save a few dollars and go to a discount broker. I mean, those aren't the conversations that we're having. When you're doing this, you're on the offense. When you're not doing this, you start working from a place of defense. And defense never wins. I mean, it just won't. If you don't have a strong offense, you can only cut expenses so much. You have to have an offense.
Yeah, I was just going to say it. I started meeting with you. We coached for a while back in 12.
Yeah.
Right, 11, 12, something like that. 11 actually. But just as you were saying this, I'm reflecting upon that time. And I remember that all of those things, literally as you said them, because remember the first time I met with you, you're like, your mindset sucks and all this stuff. But I realized...
I don't know if I said it that way. I might have been a little more aggressive than even that.
Yeah.
You probably got his face figured out.
You idiot is how you do it. But I remember that the business that we brought in like broke our system.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that I had to build the system, but I wouldn't even know what to build
If you didn't have the volume.
if I didn't have the volume. It's ridiculous. You don't even know what it looks
Yeah.
like. It's like trying to plan for 5 kids. Like you have no idea what it's like that for 5 kids if you have one. Like you just have to have 5 kids, and then you start to build out what you need.
Yeah.
It just,
Actually, that's well said. It's a good point.
yeah, it's a little better what you said, but it's all right.
Okay. Okay. So with that, I was speaking 2 days ago, and I said, and this I'm going to speak to the Jasons, the Lindsays, and Russ, and whoever, Rob. Here's my question for you. Every single agent in this company, right? What it was found of. I mean, there used to be a spreadsheet that we would go down and would have these 5 things on it. You ready? Here you go. And so these 5 things are a spillover of these, but you'll see where and there's some repetitive words here. But here's the first question. Does every person around you that's important to you, and if you're the manager in this company, do you know this about the agents you have a stewardship for? Do you know what drives the people around you? Do you know the purpose that they are driven by? It is absolutely impossible to effectively confront another human being without knowing what they want. Period. Because then it comes about what you want. You want them to do more business, but maybe they don't want to do more business. And if you define success for you, it will be entirely different. Some people it's being 6 feet above ground, and for other people it's if they don't have $100,000 sitting in their bank account. Whatever. Each of us, success is different, but if you don't clearly know the purpose, or I'm going to put up here just what they want, you cannot effectively confront anybody. It is fascinating on listing presentations how few people figure out what people want. They just go there and throw up on people. And eventually someone says, I like the smell of that. Sure, okay, I'll list. Versus figuring out really what do they want. One of the steps is we figure out what they want, what they need, and what else? Needs, wants, expectations. How can you possibly lead effectively without knowing what people need, want, and expect? Your entire craft, or the entire crafting of your presentation, is entirely figuring out what they want, need, and expect. So how can you effectively lead in this company without knowing that about an agent? But secondarily, how can you effectively lead people that you're supposed to lead from your buyers and your sellers and other people if you don't even know what they want? It's a great mistake of leadership. Because what happens is then your agenda becomes driven and pounding down the throats of other people, whether it be the listing, the buyer, an agent in this company, if you're a leader, a manager. It is absolutely ineffective at every level. Second, so 1, define what you want. Number 2 is what are the goals that you have. Look, 3 to 5 goals. That's it. Look, the human mind cannot focus on more than that. I have like 3 goals I write down all the time. Okay? And those goals are critical because they're the decision making of everything that I do. You are not going to be effective in your decisions if you are not clear on the goals. Remember, the goals are not what your purpose is. The goal is the stepping stone to your purpose. The easy way to do this is just simply someone says, my goal is to earn $250,000 a year. That's the goal. What I want to know is what? What should you know? What's the first question a manager should be asking you when you say, oh, I'm so excited. I went to the summit, or I went to this, and I listened to that, and I went to that, and I'm going to earn $250,000. What is the first question you should be asking?
Why?
Thank you. You were like a ventriloquist.
I was coming out.
I know. Okay? That's the first question. It's the first question you should be asking. I don't care whether it's a recruit. I don't care whether it's an agent. I don't care whether it's your list. When they say, I want to sell, you may phrase it differently, but in so many words, help me understand what's important about what? Selling. It is impossible to effectively confront without knowing what people want. You will never win because it will be only your agenda, not theirs. And when you link their agenda to getting what they want, they'll follow you to the ends of the earth. All right, purpose, goals. Third is the plan. So here's a question. Do you have a year-end plan? Do you have a 90-day plan at least? At least 90 days? Like, what are you absolutely going to do over the next 90 days? How many contacts? How many listings? How many buyers? How many doors will you knock on? How many people in your sphere of influence will you call? How many mailings, emails, campaigns? What will you do within your plan over the next 90 days? It should be absolutely inexcusable for every agent in this company not to have those first three things. And even more inexcusable for the leadership not to know it. They should be able to come right up to you and go, show me your plan. And you're like, well, I got this plan, it's right up here, and that is not a plan. I want you writing it down and getting clear. You want to take one from the front desk? Great. Put it on one page. But a plan needs to be had by everybody in here. Okay? Fourth is your schedule. Look, three things. If you will master from the time you wake up until about 12 noon, and if you will master just three things in your life, you will become very wealthy. And here's the schedule that I would focus on. Number one are the three things. How much do you practice and train? Awesome that you're here. It's a testament to the fact that you believe in the fact of making sure that that happens. But I would argue, is this enough? And the answer is it's not. This isn't enough. This isn't enough. I mean, I look back in the years of people. I had someone yesterday go, I don't get it. Like, you will, someone will ask you, and it seems like you always know the answer. I don't know, because for 2+ hours a day in the first 2 years of my business, I would focus on every script, every dialogue, every answer. I remember driving down the road and role-playing with Rob and Jennifer and others and agents and Sean Rindlisbacher and Austin Haywood, all these people, and hours and hours and hours of just role-play. And so you go, I don't really like to follow a script. Well, you're never going to win the game if you're not practicing and training. How well would that work in the NFL if you said that to Belichick? Well, I kind of like to do my own thing when I'm out there on the field. I mean, the Steelers are trying to, I just noted yesterday, by the way, that they are now going to do man-to-man defense, and that's going to change their outcome for the record. I just saw that yesterday.
They're the most boring.
Just saying.
She lives in the past.
I know.
Not really.
Okay?
In the 70s.
Okay? She's back in the 70s.
recently.
She was back in the 70s when they were great. All right, it's a new dynasty. It's called the Dallas Cowboys, isn't it? Right? See, Doug. There we go, baby. All right, practice training number 2 is, again, these are the just 3 things. If you can do all the other things in your schedule that you want, you can, from 12:02 to 12:05, I'm going to talk and walk the halls, and from 12:05 to 12:18, I'm gonna, take a water break and a bathroom break. And I watch people get so detailed in their schedule, it's ridiculous. Just 3 things. Master these 3 things, you are rich, guaranteed. Number 2 is you need to make sure that you are prospecting. All right? Look, simple numbers. 15 hours a week of legitimate prospecting equals $250,000 of income. It's that simple. 150 contacts a week will generate $250,000 or more in income. 15 hours a week of legitimate prospecting will generate massive amounts of income. Every week, week after week after week, for about 42 weeks a year, if you did that, you would make $250,000. And the last is that you need to make sure that you're exercising. As long as you exercise and you prospect and you practice, you'll be rich. It's that simple. It's not complicated. If you want to worry about all the other things in your schedule, that's great. But I know that, April, if you have a listing presentation today at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, assuming there's no conflict, are you just going to blow it off? Right? If you had a buyer today at 10 a.m., you're just not going to show up? We already know that. But what we do know is that you won't show up to practice, prospect, and exercise. So just be held accountable on those 3 things. Make it a reality, and which is number 5, which is how are you being held accountable? Look, every single agent in this organization should have these 5 things. I should be able to walk up to you and say, show me your schedule, your plan, your goals, and what drives you, and who's holding you, or how are you being held accountable? We are not putting men on the moon. We are not solving the latest and greatest cancer cures. We are not trying to perform heart surgery. We are simply doing a very basic thing, which is communication. And here's the problem. Most of our lives are dealt, and we are dealing with this one factor. We are allowing our life to be ruled by this. The amount of rejection that you're willing to take is the amount of money that you are willing to earn. In closing, let me just say, I don't know if we have, well, no, we have time. We'll do just a little role play for like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yes, I guess.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Rejection. Most of us, it is all about the hierarchy of pain. That's it. Remember that. It's the hierarchy of pain. And if you can figure out how to dance and weave your life with pain, you will make a fortune. Most people go, just human nature, we are wired from the day of our birth to avoid pain. And some people say, well, I really like pleasure and I really like to go do the fun things and celebrate, reward myself for my great efforts. That is a bunch of crap, just for the record. You do like to do that. But what you like to do is because go do that because it avoids all the pain that you have to deal with. Escaping, running, leaving the pain. So, it's real simple. If you have enough business maturity, you will put yourself in a box that it becomes immovable. How many of you know what you're supposed to do, but you may not be doing it? All right, all of us. All of us should be raising our hand. We all know what to do. We all know what to do. In fact, on the headstone of every great real estate agent, it's going to say, they knew what to do. They just didn't do it. I mean, that's going to be on every gravestone, every great agent. You know? They knew what to do, they just didn't do it. How many times have you said, I know what I'm supposed to do, I just can't figure out why? I can tell you why, because you're a human being. Because it's called normal. Because it's called life. And that's what we do, because we avoid what? Pain. So what do all three of these have in common? Pain. You may say, well, no, I mean, exercising isn't real painful. Well, maybe not for you, that's fine. Maybe you've conquered that one. That's great. What about the other two? I mean, are you a master presenter? A master of your presentation for listening? Right? Are you a masterful at your prospecting? Right? You're like the Jedi Knight. These are not the droids you're looking for. That kind of thing, right? You know? Think about it. They all have one thing in common. Pain. I mean, how many times over the years have I, a handful of times, Brian, where I've not shown up at the gym on time, and what do? Yeah, I say, you know what, if I'm not through these doors at 5:30 a.m., I'll pay you $100. What's more painful? Showing up at the gym at 5:30 or paying $100 for most people? Paying $100. Well, people say, well, wait, $100 isn't that much. Well, then make it $1,000. Or make it something different. I mean, for the record, I have two great stories about this. One of them is with John Hunter. And we had 5 checks on the wall with thumbtacks. And each one of them had $100 on them. And there were 5 checks. And we wanted to make sure, this is probably 15, 18 years ago, that we prospected. And so we had the deal that you had to be in the office, in this, not the office, but the actual office where we're prospecting, from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. You could not check your voicemail, right? You could not check your voicemail, and you could not check any email. If you did any of those things, you lost $100. Well, that year for me was the first year that I had ever earned over $300,000. And the only thing that was different, here's the deal, I lost 2 of these checks. It was the best $200 I've ever lost in my life. And I still remember this day, that the first time I lost $100, John Hunter went and bought a pair of shoes, and in this section of the shoe where it doesn't get worn, he wrote in there. I remember they were leather shoes, and he wrote in there, "Compliments of George Morris." So anytime he lifted his foot, people knew I had bought these shoes for him because he won. He earned $100. Right? Yeah. All of these examples. I mean, the best one still is this. This is 11 years ago. Maybe even this month, 11 years ago. I had just met Gretchen, and Gretchen had. And it was when First American, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to make the Otis Spunkmeyer cookies, and they would be there. And we shared this joint kitchen. And so they would just, and I found myself, I was just eating like 20 of these cookies, it seemed like, every day. And so I made this thing. I said, Gretchen, here's the deal. And this is the deal. I just said, if you ever see me eating a cookie, I will pay you $100. So it was like 5 o'clock at night. She had walked out, and I was like, okay, here's my check. This is a true story. Ask her. It's a true story. I mean, right when I hear her go out, I'm like, out of my chair, right into the kitchen. I got to get a white chocolate chip, macadamia nut cookie, and I'm not exaggerating. I take it, and I take the bite, and I take one step, and right around the corner, she goes, "You owe me $100." That's a true story.
That is hilarious. Oh my God.
So was that practicing prospecting?
I know, it was painful though, man. Just look, and then I did pay her, and for the record. But
Did you ever eat another cookie?
yes, because the deal was over, and then I just actually, no, I do remember her saying, she goes, "Well, you might as well finish it. It cost you $100."
Right.
So I'm like, well, that's true. I remember she goes, "You might as well finish it," because I'd only taken the one bite, and I still remember her finger right in my face. "You owe me $100." But my point is look, you got to figure out how to be accountable. I don't know if it's with money. Maybe it's taking someone to lunch. Maybe it's a competition with you and another agent. But the fact is that, look, there should not be an agent in this company that does not have these 5 things in line. This is not a complicated process. You want to earn lots of money? Know your purpose. Figure out 3 to 5 goals. Figure out your 90-day plan. Get a schedule together with at least these 3 things in, and force yourself to be accountable. The rule to success is stop living your life based on how you feel. Remember that. Everyone goes, "Well, I don't feel like I don't care." Start living your life based on on what you know you're supposed to be doing, not based on how you feel. It's the reason why for the affirmation for years. And do I do it perfectly? No. But the point is that most of the time I register the fact of, look, I don't feel like exercising, or I don't feel like prospecting, and we start renegotiating our future when we don't feel like it. So hence I came up with the affirmation, which was, does not matter how I feel, I do it anyways. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant how I feel. People who have a real job don't sit there every day and go, "Oh, I can't wait to go to work." So many people who have a real job go, "Man, I really don't want to go to work." But what do they still do in a real job?
Go to work.
They go to work. And then there's real estate agents. "I don't feel like it." And then they fit real estate in the middle of everything else they're trying to do, as if they're trying to avoid the very profession that gives them and lets them live all the dreams that they want. But if you will connect the dots of your purpose and your accountability, you will be driven to be accountable because you know what you want, and it means so much to you that you would never sacrifice. This is the insurance to your dreams. And some of you will be like, "Oh, I don't like people holding me accountable." Get your ego out of the way. You know what? Cowboy up and start living your dreams. And you will not if you're not accountable. Never will be. You're not that strong. You're just like anybody else. You're just like me. Look, everyone needs to be held accountable. To the degree that you want to be will be the degree of income you'll probably learn. So get committed. Be accountable. And see what might happen. Okay. Any other thoughts? Any confusion? April, are you confused?
Nope.
5 things. Russ, does Doug have those 5 things? in place. Doug, do you have those 5?
Yes.
He should know this, right?
He should know, shouldn't he?
Right?
So you know, Rick, Doug is Russ's son. So we got.
See that.
You see a little bit of resemblance. He's got. Russ just needs. Well, Russ needs to get. Russ needs to get the Bryce Harper haircut going.
Not good. I think so.
He needs to ditch the.
Did anybody see that? Did anybody see that fight of Bryce Harper in the picture?
Yeah.
That was pretty. That was pretty sweet. That was intense. So, all right, good deal. I think we're out of time. But look, practice, prospect, exercise, and be accountable and watch what might happen. All right, here we go. I succeed because I feel my goals. I'm an optimist. I love talking to new people. I know it's important to me. I heard people say, I have a daily plan I follow. I am passionate about real estate. I know consistency is my greatest tool. I like asking questions and listening. I enjoy reading to improve my sales skills. My thoughts and my emotions act as results. I focus on my dreams daily. My presentation is powerful and persuasive. I improve my skills daily. I am happy. I love the prospect because it keeps my business. I see my future is awesome. I love my life. I am grateful and thankful. I control my thinking. I believe in me. I feel outstanding. I use my beliefs not to see daily. I get things done. I provide excellent customer service. I drink water daily. I connect with people. People love me. I love others. I'm just looking at my game is good. I prospect daily. I set appointments daily. I'm an active player. I achieve my goals. I'm a real estate rock star. I'm passionate about my life. I live every day with purpose. I'm confident in my sales skills. I know my destiny. I'm healthy and strong. I'm powerful. I'm unstoppable. I keep positive.
Exercising, I don't know how many times I started it. Just say, I just